In this video, we'll work with radicals. We'll simplify, add, subtract, multiply, and divide expressions with square roots. That's what radicals are. Let's review a little bit. The square root of 4 means some number times itself that equals 4. That number is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Radical 9, the square root of 9 is 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. The square root of 16, we often write as 4. Radical 16 is 4, meaning that 4 times 4 is 16. It could also be negative 4, because negative 4 times negative 4 is also 16. And usually we just give the value, the absolute value. So if I were to multiply two radicals, I can put them under one radical as the square root of 3 times 3, which is the square root of 9, which is 3. So you might be able to see that you really don't need to multiply because these radicals are the same, but if you don't notice that, it's okay, you'll get there. But if they're different, we're going to say that is the square root of 3 times 7, which is the square root of 21. And factors of 21 do not have perfect square roots, so we will just leave it as the square root of 21. You could put that in your calculator, and it would give you a number greater than 4, less than 5, because 21 is greater than 16, but less than 25. And if you just needed to know a number that's fairly close, you could just round that number and use it. Multiplying. Order is not important, so let's rewrite that as 2 times 4 times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Then maybe it's easier to see that 2 times 4 is 8. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. So that whole thing simplifies to 24. Adding is different. Let's think of it this way. 5 of these things, whatever they are, plus 3 more of the same thing would be 8 of those things. And in this case, oops, it was the square root of 2. The thing that we had 5 of them and 3 of them, so now we have 8 of those. 8 times the square root of 2. But if these radicals are not the same value in the radical, then we cannot add them. So I have the square root of 3 plus the square root of 7. If we needed to know a number, we could put those into a calculator and get a decimal approximation and then add them to get close. Let's factor, for dividing, let's factor that 6 into the square root of 6 times the square root of 6. So then it's easier to cancel, and that just equals the square root of 6. So the square root of 6 times the square root of 6 is the square root of 36, which is 6. Multiplying again just for practice. 3 times 4 is 12. Square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. So that simplifies to 24. Subtracting, I have 5 of these things, take away 2 of the same thing, make sure they're the same. That gives me 3 of whatever those are. 3 of those. 3 times the square root of 6.